Shalom. Today we're going to go into a new topic. This topic has, to me, just all types of interesting aspects. It's going to deal with many areas that people very seldom explore. And so the topic is coverings. From the aspect of the Jewish understanding of coverings, what we find in the Torah, what we find in the Tanakh, the non-Jewish Torah world, how they often view these topics, these passages, Christianity, how they view them. We're going to look at head coverings. We'll look at different topics or aspects that are related to coverings, such as the chuppah, the canopy, the marriage canopy that one is married beneath, the sukkah during the festival of Sukkot, the sukkah that is on top of it. We're going to look at the Holy Temple. We're going to find that in the temple that certain buildings were required to have a kippah, a covering. We're going to look at some spiritual aspects of all of this and how it ties together. And so today, I kind of like to begin with number one, the temple, and number two, the priest, and looking at where some of the understandings of coverings come from. So I want to go to the book of Shemot, or the book of Exodus, and we have in chapter 25, this is where Moshe, or Moses, goes up on the mountain, and he receives the command to build the Mishkan. In fact, in chapter 25, verse 8, he says, build me a mikdash, which Beit HaMikdash will be the temple. And then he followed this, he says, build the Mishkan according to the Tavnit. Mishkan is going to be the temporary dwelling place. The word Mishkan comes from the word Shekah, which means to dwell with. The dwelling place of Hashem in the midst of the camp. Now, the Mishkan goes through several stages. We have the Mishkan in the wilderness, where it's mobile. It is moved from one location to another location to another location. Your furniture, such as the altar, is very, very small. Whereas when it becomes at a stationary point, it's going to expand up from a 5 by 3 cubits altar to a 32 by 32 cubit altar. Okay, so in other words, it's going to expand greatly. Now, all that we have, though, in the Mishkan, it will be the blueprint for what's coming along as later as we get the Mishkan across the Jordan River, where it goes into Shiloh, for instance, for 369 years, and then it will move a couple more times before Solomon comes along, builds the first temple. So basically, what we have back in the Torah concerning all of these vessels, this instrument, these commandments, is not going to be departed from. In rare cases, it will be enlarged. Okay, so we want to go to the Kohanim, or the priest, and I want to read to you, and I'm going to go through it twice here. Once I'm going to read from a New King James, which is going to be a Christian translation. The other I'm going to go from an interlinear Hebrew Tanakh. Okay, so it says in chapter 28, it's talking about the garments of the Kohanim, the priest. And it says, verse 30, you shall also make a plate of pure gold, engrave on it like the engraving of a signet, holiness to the Lord. And this is going to be called the seat, and this is a article of clothing that is only for the Kohen Gadol, only for the high priest. And it says, and you shall put on it a blue cord, or a thread of techelet, and that it may be on the turban. It shall be on the front of the turban. Now, I want to get the head plate itself is called the seats. And so it says, you shall make a seats of gold that is pure, and you shall engrave upon it, engraved like a signet, holy to Hashem. You shall place it on a string, patil techelet, of techelet, or the sky blue wool, and it shall be on the turban. Now, the turban is called the mitznafet. The mitznafet. Let me spell that for you. That's Mitznafet. Mitznafet. Opposite the face of the mitznafet. Okay, the turban. Now let me read again out of here. It shall be on Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may hear the iniquity of the holy things which children of Israel hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall always be on his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. Now, we have that what is spoken of here, that it shall always be on his forehead, is going to be on the turban, or it'd be the turban, but not necessarily the seats. The seats is only going to be worn when the Kohen Gadol is wearing what we call the golden vestments. Now, the golden vestments are going to be where you have 4 white garments, which are going to be the turban. They're going to be a white long garment, the trousers, and a belt. Okay, but then the golden vestments, there are 8 of these. You have the turban with the seats, the gold plate. You have the white garment. You have, on top of that, you have the ephod, okay, which has the Hoshen HaMishpat, or the breastplate of judgment. You have a colored sash, or colored garment. Then you have the underpants. I'm not sure if I got all 8 of these. The Be'il. I left out the Be'il. The Be'il is going to be the sky blue tikkelet. You have white, then sky blue tikkelet, whole garment. Then you have the Hoshen HaMishpat, which is multicolored. Then you have the breastplate. Okay, so we have these 8 garments, and we have the white garments. But it says about the Kohen Gadol that he has to have the turban on his head at all times. Okay, so this is going to be important. It says, shall always be on his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. You shall skillfully weave the tunic of fine linen thread. You shall make the turban of fine linen, and you shall make the sash of woven work. For Aaron's sons. Now we're going from the Kohen Gadol, we're going to go to the Kohanim in general. It says, for Aaron's sons, you shall make tunics, and you shall make sashes for them, and you shall make hats for them, for glory and for beauty. So let me go to verse 40 here. And in verse 40, we have, for the sons of Aaron, you shall make tunics, and you shall make for them sashes and turbans. We actually have a different word here. The word is migbaot. Migbaot, spelled M-I-G-B-A-O-T. Migbaot. And so we have the migbaot, and we have the mitznefet. Okay, so we have 2 different. Everybody has some type of turban. Somebody has some type of head covering that they are required to have. It says, so you shall put them on Aaron your brother, and on his sons with him. You shall anoint them, consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister to me as priests. And it says, and you shall make for them linen trousers to cover their nakedness. They shall teach from the waist to the thighs. They shall be on Aaron and on his sons when they come into the Mishkan meeting, the tent of meeting, or when they come near the altar to minister in the holy place, that they do not incur iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever for him and his descendants after him. Now, when it says Aaron's sons, it's not speaking just about Ithamar, Eleazar, his 2 sons that are going to die because they burned strange fire before. It's talking about all of the Kohanim. Now I want to go to the book of Vayikra. In Vayikra, or Leviticus, and where we're going to go is where Aaron's sons, the Nadav and Avihu, have burned strange fire before the Lord. The Lord has slain them. They're dead within the Mishkan. And we have verse 4, Moshe called Mishael and Elizaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said to them, come near, carry your brethren before the sanctuary out of the camp. So they went near, carried them by their tunics out of the camp, as Moshe had said. And Moshe said to Aaron and to Eleazar and Ithamar his sons, do not uncover your heads, nor tear your clothes, lest you die, and wrath come upon all the people. And then it goes on. Okay, so we see that the Kohanim, that they have this commandment that they have to have their heads covered. Now we're going to go to the book of Yehezkel or Ezekiel. We're going to go to the 44th chapter. And by the way, I plan to go doing several different teachings on this here on YouTube. It will not be just one. This will be the whole thing that we have on the head coverings of the Kohanim. But we're going to develop this from this point into the head coverings that are worn by all the Jewish people. And then at a later point, we'll come back and we're going to look at 1 Corinthians chapter 11. And hopefully we'll be able to better understand what's being communicated there. Okay, so we're in chapter 44 of Yehezkel, Ezekiel. And we have, let me find my verse here. This whole chapter is going to deal with the garments of the priest and where they can wear these garments, where they cannot. It's going to deal with Kedusha. It's a fascinating chapter. And let's read verse 14. Nevertheless, I'll make them keep charge of the temple for all its work and for all that they have that has to be done in it. But the Kohanim, the Levi'im, the sons of Zadok, who keep charge of my sanctuary, when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near me to minister to me, and they shall stand before me to offer to me the fat and the blood, says the Lord God. They shall enter my sanctuary, they shall come near to my table to minister to me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall be, whenever they enter the gates of the inner court, that they shall put on linen garments. No wool shall come upon them while they minister within the gates of the inner court or within the house. Now, one exception to this is the Kohen Gadol. When he's wearing the 8 garments, they are a mixture of wool and linen. But he's at a higher level of Kedusha. The rules change. They shall have linen turbans on their head. That's what I wanted. They shall have linen turbans on their head and linen trousers on their bodies. They shall not clothe themselves with anything that causes sweat. It's going to go on. We're going to have another aspect that comes in here. When they go out to the outer court of the people, they shall take off their garments in which they have ministered, leave them in the holy chambers, and put on other garments, and in their holy garments they shall not sanctify the people. Nor shall they shave their heads, nor let their hair grow long, but they shall keep their hair well trimmed. Verse 21 says, no priest shall drink wine when he when he enters the inner court. And then it goes on. So I want to read this out of a commentary on Yehezkel. Now this is published by Art Scroll. So I'm going to go to the 44th chapter here. And we have linen turbans, verse 18, shall be on their heads. Linen trousers shall be on their loins. And let them not gird themselves where one perspires, nor would they leave for the outer courtyard to the people. Let me go back just a tiny bit here. Yes, okay. Now when they come to the gates of the inner area, they are to wear linen clothes, let no wool be upon them. When they serve in the gates of the inner area, and within, linen turbans shall be on their heads. Okay? So what I want to establish is that this is a rule that we not only see in the past, but it is a rule that we see in the future. Okay? So linen turbans, and shall be on their heads, and linen trousers shall be on their loins. Now, remember that when it gave us this instruction before, we saw, reading from the New King James, that right below this, it says about the hair. It says, listen to how this is worded. It says, their heads they may not shear, nor a wild growth may they permit. They are to keep their heads trimmed. Let no Cohen drink wine when he enters the inner courtyard. Okay, so I want to go to the Tanakh here. This is a stone Tanakh. It's also published by Art Scroll, same company, but it's from a different author. A different rabbi has come along and he's compiled this. Okay, so we have Haskell chapter 44, and here, I'm going to go to verse 20, which is going to deal with the hair and the head. They shall not shave their heads, nor shall they allow them to grow wild. They shall keep their heads trimmed. No Cohen shall drink wine when they enter the inner courtyard. I'd like to go to one more place. This is the Tractate Kelim of the Mishnah. And in chapter 1, in Mishnah 6, it begins laying down 10 different levels of Kedusha. The Holy Temple is called the House of Kedusha. And as you get to the temple, your levels of Kedusha or sanctification, meaning that there's going to be more rules each level you go to, more restrictions on who can enter, what they can do. This is going to be at the highest level. It's going to increase on the rules and the entrance permits and so forth. The higher you get, the closer you get, till finally we get to the Holy of Holies, and only the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, is allowed to go in there only one day in the whole year. And he can't go any time during the day. It's specific times. He has a specific order that he has to follow. So here in 1:9, this goes through 1:6 to 1:10. 1:9, it says, between the ulam and the altar. Now, the ulam is the porch of the temple. Next video, we're going to look at some illustrations. We're going to see all this. We're going to go over it again. It says, between the ulam and the altar is more sanctified than this. For those with a blemish and those with wild hair may not enter there. So, notice, and hopefully you will, that there was a different way that this was read out of the New King James. They just said, oh, you got to keep your hair trimmed. But now we have, here it says wild growth, here it says wild hair. What on earth is it talking about? It's obviously very, very important because the Kohanim have to keep something on their head. There's a death penalty if they don't. And these are going to be a foundational element that we're going to find will filter back into the people, how they pray, how they approach God, and whether or not they keep their heads covered. We'll pick this up in our next video. Shalom. Shalom. I hope you enjoyed the teaching we just went through. We have more that we have planned, but I'd like to show you my newest book. This is called Measure the Pattern, Volume 1. It deals with the latest research on the Holy Temple. It shows definitively exactly where the temple building was, all the various structures, the courtyards, and more than I can describe here. Go to our website. There's a link below and check the book out.